Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
The United States House of Representatives has impeached Donald J. Trump, only the third president in the history of this country to be impeached. He was impeached on 2 articles of impeachment. I think I've said impeachment 6 times already. The first was obstruction of Congress, and the second was abuse of power. All surrounding the fiasco with Ukraine. We'll talk more about the actual reason he was impeached and the role that Rudy Giuliani played in this. But I want to go straight to the reaction from Donald Trump.
With today's illegal, unconstitutional, and partisan impeachment, the do-nothing Democrats, and they are do-nothing. All they want to do is focus on this. What they could be doing are declaring their deep hatred and disdain for the American voter. This lawless partisan impeachment is a political suicide march for the Democrat Party. Have you seen my polls in the last 4 weeks?
Donald Trump, there is no bottom to his shame. There is no limit to his shamelessness. But obviously, it's funny that he's saying that they're do-nothing Congress. They literally did something and they impeached him, and he now has this stain on his legacy. And it's funny, like Nixon obviously was the first, Clinton the second, but the stain is going to stick a little differently on Donald Trump because of everything else that he's done. He is legitimately replacing Richard Nixon as in the minds of the American, like there were far worse presidents than Richard Nixon, right? I want to preface what I'm going to say with the fact that there were far worse presidents than Richard Nixon, but in the minds of the American body politic, when you think of corrupt or bad presidents, Nixon probably is the first that the average American would say up until now, and that person is Donald Trump. And, one thing I do kind of want to give him, though, is whether you know it or not, Donald Trump is kind of loyal, because this entire mess was created by Rudy Giuliani's fixation with Ukraine and his business opportunities in Ukraine. I mean, if you really think about it, Donald Trump only has the information that's fed to him by his most trusted sources, Fox News and Rudy Giuliani. And Rudy Giuliani is still going back and forth to Ukraine right now as we speak, trying to do whatever he was trying to do originally, both run business as well as help his buddy, the president. So the reason I say that Trump is somewhat loyal, it's because he hasn't flipped on Giuliani. Like, the one person he probably should throw under the bus, he isn't. But who cares? The other part is there were so many reasons to impeach this man. So many reasons. He has given, it took literally figuratively, a smoking gun for Nancy Pelosi to finally step up and do something about what he was doing. It wasn't, and there were some floor speeches yesterday that were a doozy. One came from a Republican from Georgia, right here in the Atlanta area. I'll play that clip in a minute. But then another one came from a Democrat who thought the thing to say was that she didn't come to impeach the president, even when he was caging kids. And I'm like,
Madam Speaker, I didn't come to Congress to impeach the president, even when he separated babies from their parents at the border, even when he took money from our troops to build his wall. No, I didn't call for impeachment, because I'm here to make a difference in the lives of my constituents.
See, I get what she was trying to do there, But come on, those were really good reasons to impeach the president. You know what I mean? Like, those were legit reasons. Caging kids at the border, right? Taking money, misappropriating the funds from the Defense Department to build his monument to white supremacy. I mean, all the violation of the Emoluments Clause. I get what she was trying to do there, but she really needed me to finesse her speech for her. Like, there were a lot of bad speeches yesterday, but none take the cake like this one.
Before you take this historic vote today, 1 week before Christmas, I want you to keep this in mind. When Jesus was falsely accused of treason, Pontius Pilate gave Jesus the opportunity to face his accusers. During that sham trial, Pontius Pilate afforded more rights to Jesus than the Democrats have afforded this president in this process. I yield back.
What? Pontius Pilate, who put a crown of thorns on Jesus' head, who had him beat, whipped all night long, and ultimately crucified him? Man, that was Representative Barry Loudwater. I can never remember this dude's name. You know, no matter what I do, this is the third time. Loudermilk. This is my third time having to record this clip, and I'm not going back to record it again. I cannot remember that man's name, Loudermilk, but he's from the Georgia's 11th district, which is right there in Atlanta. And I'm thinking maybe I should run for office against him, and just on this clip alone. I mean, Republicans have gone all the way to the point of blasphemy in order to defend Donald Trump. And that just really underscores what I said at the top of this segment. There is no bottom. There is no end of the shamelessness for Donald Trump, but there's no end to the shamelessness for Republicans. And Donald Trump is just as popular with the Republican Party as he has ever been. I mean, his approval ratings amongst Republicans, there are Republicans who support Donald Trump, think he's doing a good job, and also think that he should be impeached based on the data, right? I think it was about 54% of Americans believe that Donald Trump should be impeached. And then a large portion believe that he should be 50% believe that he should be impeached and removed. Now, that 4% that believe he should be impeached but not removed, I'm thinking those are Republicans. Some of those same people who give him the 90 and 95% approval rating amongst Republicans. So anyway, that's besides the point. The point is the president has been impeached, and it's only proper. They had to do this. Donald Trump was daring them. He has violated the Constitution. And even if you look at it's not a high crime and a misdemeanor, but his attack on the press that he has, every step of the way, he has attacked the press freedom of the press. And that's a part of the Constitution. And he has taken an oath to defend the Constitution. So he has been violating his oath of office since before he even took the oath of office, but most certainly after he took the oath of office. And I'm just giving you that as an example of every step of the way. I think they've documented some 16,000 lies, verifiable lies, not difference of opinions, not is the dress blue or is it white and gold? No, lies. The violation of the Emoluments Clause alone, the fleecing of America with the tax dollars to take him to his own golf course, funneling money from taxpayers to his private businesses. The Emoluments Clause is with regard to foreign dignitaries and officials who come here and go to Washington, D.C. and stay in his Trump hotel in Washington, D.C. At every step of the way, Donald Trump has been daring America to hold him accountable because no one has ever held him accountable. And so I don't look at this as the Democrats like making a brave stand. Obviously, it took a little bit of courage to actually go through this, to see it through, right? So I'm not going to just kind of poo-poo entirely on them. It took a little courage to see this through, but it was 100% unavoidable, because if they had not impeached the president, then history would have impeached these Democrats. history would have impugned them because they would have abdicated their responsibility to protect the Constitution, to defend the Constitution against threats, both foreign and domestic.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.
It's that time, ladies and gentlemen, and non-gender conforming individuals. My favorite part of the show, because everybody bops their head. Special shout out to all of our newest patrons. I like this part of the show because I get to recognize you for you recognizing me. Now, this brother gave me the phonetic pronunciation of his first name, so I'm going to get it right, but he didn't give it to me of his second name. Uwadiai Idonwami Idamwanyi. There we go. Thanks for becoming a patron. Special shout out to Jacoby Jefferson. Thank you for becoming a patron. Wesley Williams, welcome aboard to the crew. Thank you for becoming a patron. Chris Silva, thank you for becoming a patron. And Mr. Hyde's Rap, thank you so much for becoming a patron. And you know what? Honestly, we're moving extremely quickly to that 500 mark. Once we get to 500 patrons, we are going to bring back the live video show with phone calls and all. And you all are really I think plenty of news to cover, but I just want to pause. Thank you for recognizing the effort that I'm putting into the show by becoming patrons. And then also just people who are commenting and saying how much you appreciate the quality of the show, not just in terms of content and analysis. I think I've always, if I'm going to, kind of pat myself on the back, I've really been bringing great analyses for a long time. But even I have to admit that the show is way better and far more consistent than it has ever been. So thank you all for recognizing the work that we do here. All right, let's move on to the next story. Of all of the people who took a bold stand one way or the other yesterday, all the Republicans voted against impeachment. The majority of the Democrats voted for impeachment. You had 2 Democrats who voted against it. Everybody took a bold stand that will be remembered throughout history. Especially for historians. The most of America is going to be like, oh yeah, that cat got impeached, but they won't go down to the vote. But historians, as they study this, there's going to be one person who stands out in history in a way that I don't think she intended. Tulsi Gabbard, who is now trending on Twitter as Tulsi Coward, decided to vote present. She did not want to upset either side. The reason she didn't want to upset either side is because that is her constituency. She cannot afford to take a stand against the crimes of this president, the very clear crimes of this president. She can't afford to vote against it. She certainly can't vote. She absolutely could not afford to vote in favor of impeachment because she represents the contrarian so-called left. I don't even consider them leftists at this point. They're contrarian for the sake of contrarianism. But then again, she could not vote against it because that would get her 100% out of the Democratic Party paint. Like, she would have no more influence in the Democratic primary. And so she just was, she's trying, and perhaps she tried it as a stunt to get attention. She definitely is getting attention, just not the type of attention that she wants, because she's trending 3 different ways on Twitter. First, it's Tulsi Coward, pretty catchy. Then there's Vote Like Tulsi, right? And then, of course, the headline is trending, Tulsi Gabbard votes present. She's the only one who wasn't able to take a stand either for or against the president. Now, setting that aside, this candidate for president is pulling about 4 to 6 points, depending on the poll that you look at, in New Hampshire. Now, I'm not going to say this too many more times, But let me emphasize something to any Bernie supporter who still supports Tulsi Gabbard as some type of comrade in arms, like she's fighting the good fight. No, she isn't. She is sandbagging Bernie Sanders with the exact group that still has a fixation with Hillary Clinton. She has no chance of winning, right? We all get that, but she is pulling enough numbers in the early state, particularly New Hampshire. She has moved there. She's pulling it enough to hurt Bernie Sanders. Now, whoever you support, that's your business. But I'm just speaking to those Bernie Sanders supporters who are still, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend you, right? But, I'm going to say whatever I need to say. You're deluded if you think that Tulsi Gabbard is a positive addition to this primary process. One, because she's clearly shown that that she's an opportunist. And she's an opportunist to the extent that she will not put herself on the line to stand up or stand against something. That's what she demonstrated yesterday. But number two, she is doing everything she can to pull votes away from Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire. And if she was progressive, if she was the progressive comrade that everyone tries to make her out to be, then she would stand down, because her voters, those that will try, even if out of the 5 points that she has in New Hampshire, only 3 points went to Bernie Sanders or 2 points went to Bernie Sanders, that's enough to put him over the top. But she's not. And so there's literally no reason for a Bernie Sanders supporter to still be supportive of Tulsi Gabbard. I said it. I called it a long time ago, and some of you got mad at me, but I love you, and it's all in love, right? I'm not trying to say I told you so, but what I'm trying to say is, before I have to say I told you so, before Bernie Sanders comes in second place by like 2 points in New Hampshire, and then at that point, I will get on this microphone and scream at everybody, I told you so. I'm trying to preempt. I'm trying to keep us from getting to that point. Spread the word. Tulsi has got to go for reasons well beyond the primary, but also including the sandbagging that she's about to give Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire. Yeah. Before I get to this next story, make sure you call in, leave a voicemail, 857-600-0518. Tomorrow is Voicemail Fridays. We haven't done it in a while. I haven't been promoting it, but anytime you send a voicemail, even if I'm promoting or not, always feel free to call in, leave a voicemail, and I will feature it on Friday. Okay. The Affordable Care Act has been under attack since before it was even passed into the law. Now, I have two critiques. No, I have two ways of viewing this. One is the problem with the bill, but two, notwithstanding the problems with the bill, the way that Republicans will stop at nothing to attack it simply because it came from Barack Obama. I'm going to talk about the second part first, because that's what's going on. A federal court has voided the Obamacare mandate, but not the entire law. This, according to Politico, New York Times, everywhere. A lower court must now reconsider the fate of the law, likely pushing off a Supreme Court showdown past the election. Allow me to read a couple of paragraphs from Politico's reporting. They said, quote, a federal appeals court on Wednesday struck down Obamacare's individual mandate in a decision that immediately thrust the health care law into the forefront of the 2020 elections. However, the appeals court ruling largely ducked the central question of whether the rest of the Affordable Care Act remained valid after Congress removed the penalty for not having health insurance. And the significance of taking away the penalty, removing essentially the entire point of the mandate ensured that either you participated in the markets and you got insurance through either your employer or your markets, or you paid a penalty, you paid a tax, which ensured that enough money would be in the marketplace in general to keep the prices low for everybody. Now, I have to set this up properly. A couple of people took issue with the way I framed it on Twitter this morning, and I have zero tolerance for stupid. But this is the fact. These are the facts. Obamacare is based on a conservative idea that was formulated by the Heritage Foundation, the most conservative think tank in the country. The idea was first implemented by a Republican governor, Mitt Romney, the state of Massachusetts. At the core of Obamacare, it is a free market, quote unquote, free market solution, because there's really no such thing as free market. Because what it did was it poured billions of dollars into the private sector, into private insurance companies. Obamacare was a windfall for the private insurance companies. Literally the exact framework that Republicans champion. This is what they love. They want to collect all of our money and give it away to private industry. This is what Obamacare did because it was a conservative idea. It simply said, okay, let's find a way to make sure everybody can get access, and then let's find a way to keep the prices low. And the way they did that was the individual mandate as well as premium credits. Tax credits for people who couldn't afford the high prices. In theory, it was a reasonable idea that left the insurance companies better. But that wasn't good enough for Republicans. What mattered, the only thing that mattered to Republicans, was destroying Barack Obama's legacy, even though his legacy was a conservative legacy. Literally the framework that they came up with. And I pose everything like that because we can see that even with conservative ideas, even when you triangulate and you go so far to the right to give Republicans exactly what they ask for, Republicans are in a place in this country where they would destroy their own idea just for the sake of a political win against you, against Barack Obama, against you as an individual listening. They want nothing more than the political win. There's literally no reason for them to attack this bill because it's their freaking idea. Furthermore, they had 7 years to prepare a bill to replace. Remember, repeal and replace, repeal and replace. We're going to repeal and we're going to replace. I don't know why I'm doing my semi-Obama impersonation there when it was really Paul Ryan. All he said for years was repeal and replace. We got to repeal and replace. And they couldn't come up with anything because the bill, and this is what Barack Obama was figuring. He was like, okay, we're going to use this bill. It's a Republican idea. There's really nothing that that can be a further right-leaning, conservative, free market solution to our healthcare problem than what Republicans already came up with. So Obama thought that he could outmaneuver Republicans into supporting their own bill. But the joke was on Obama because Republicans said, oh, hell no, we're not even going to support our own idea because we have to oppose you. We have to beat you. And so they have unleashed everything they have, not because they have a better idea, not because there's a more conservative solution. They are destroying their own framework, their own paradigm, everything that they believe in, simply to get back at Obama. That's how much they hate that man. That's how much they hate Democrats. That's how much they hate centrist Democrats. They hate centrist Democrats and leftists, obviously, if they hate Obama, then they probably would try to, execute all of us at some point. That's how much they hate. They are that entrenched in their ideology and their No, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. They have no ideology other than opposition. And they will oppose anything Democrats try to do, even when they give Republicans exactly what they want. I don't know how much I can make this more clear. When Democrats try to be bipartisan and use the solution that Republicans came up with, Republicans said, hell no, we're going to still oppose you. We're going to still oppose you. Even after you're out of office, even if that means exposing people to pre-existing condition requirements, even if that means knocking tens of millions of people off of insurance, even if that means people are going to die, even if that means they have nothing else to replace it with, their only singular focus is opposition, opposing anything that Democrats do, including Barack Obama, especially Barack Obama. My problem with the bill is totally different. My problem is it still allows private companies to make profit off of people who are sick and dying. There should be no profit, no dividends in caring for people with cancer. I have a fundamental philosophical disagreement with how we allow profiteers to make money off of people on dialysis, children with leukemia. But that's not what's happening right now. What's happening right now is an attack from Republicans who have demonstrated that at all costs, the thing that matters to them the most is not even their own ideology. It's not even conservative ideas. It's not free market solutions. It's not even a windfall profit for companies, for private companies. It is simply opposing Democrats at all costs. Okay, I know I already said it, but I want to say it again. Make sure you call in 857-600-0518. There are debates tonight, so give me your feedback on the debates. Give me your feedback on impeachment. Give me your feedback on anything. Tell me how much you love the show. Tell me how much you hate the show. 857-600-0518. Last but not least, kind of a funny story. The U.S. Department of Agriculture listed Wakanda as a free trade partner, despite it being a fictional country. A USDA spokesperson said the Kingdom of Wakanda was added to the list by accident during a staff test. The department's online tariff tracker hosted a detailed list of goods the two nations apparently traded, including ducks, donkeys, and dairy cows. It's still hilarious. It's still a hilarious story. But I thought it would be a cute story if it was just kind of a thing that they did to give a nod to Wakanda or, to test to see if people on their team were paying attention. But this really happened. They really, I don't know how this happens. I mean, never mind, the president of the United States makes up the names of countries on a regular basis. I would expect that the bureaucrats would be able to get something like this right. But anyway, not even a big deal. But yeah, special shout out to T'Challa for transcending the fictional realm and crossing over to the real universe and getting a trade deal with the United States of America. Pretty dope accomplishment there. Be sure to tune into the debates tonight. I will be live tweeting. Not only that, make sure you leave a voicemail, 857-600-0518. I want to hear from you. And if you are not a patron, that's fine. Go to www.patreon.com, become a patron today, or just let the next 5 episodes play straight through while you listen to commercials. Take care, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.